Assalamu alaikum. So, one of the symptoms of ADHD is that it affects your executive function. And this is not something that's just all in their heads. This is something you can physically see in the part of the brain that regulates executive function. And this manifests in different ways in the life of someone who has ADHD. And one of the ways is in their self regulation. So, this means their ability to inhibit their impulsive responses. Now, as Muslims, how do we deal with that? Now, obviously, this is a complex topic and there's a lot we could say about it, but I want to focus on one particular aspect in this video, and that is the shame and the guilt that people with ADHD often feel. They feel like they're not good Muslims because they sometimes can't control their impulsive responses. And neurotypical Muslims might not understand this, and in their zeal to give them advice, they might end up making the situation worse. And so the first thing I think we need to do is to bring awareness to the fact that Muslims with ADHD are not bad Muslims. They're not lazy. It's not a personal flaw or even a personal choice of their own. It is literally something physical with their brain. With our brain, because even though I haven't been formally diagnosed, I do believe I have a lot of the symptoms of ADHD. And so I do think the following verse, chapter 6, verse 54, would be a good reminder for all of us, but especially neurotypical Muslims who might engage with Muslims who have ADHD. So this verse in the Quran says, وَإِذَا جَاءَكَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِآيَاتِنَا فَقُلْ سَلَامٌ عَلَيْكُمْ. So first, when those who believe in our ayats come to you, say to them, Salamun alaykum. Greet them with peace. Say to them, peace be upon you. And the word salam means to be free of any defects or problems. So instead of seeing them as a bad person or a bad Muslim because they don't live up to your expectations of what a Muslim should be, wish them peace. Wish them to be whole and sound and to be free from any difficulties. Connect with them on the level of just being a human being, and don't always be so technical. But the verse continues. It says, كَتَبَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. Your Lord has written and prescribed upon himself mercy. So think about this verse. When those who believe in our ayat come to you, this is how we should deal with them. We should wish them peace, and we should also remind them that their Lord has prescribed mercy upon them. So instead of making them feel bad, we should make them feel the mercy of Allah. Now, obviously, that doesn't remove the symptoms, but it does remove one of the very difficult effects of those symptoms, which is that profound feeling of shame and guilt that people with ADHD often feel. But wait, the verse is not finished. It continues, أَنَّهُ مَنْ عَمِلَ مِنْكُمْ سُوءًا بِجَهَالَةٍ. That we should remind, when those who believe in our ayat come, we should wish them peace, remind them of the mercy, but also remind them that the one who does something bad, bijahalatin. The phrase in the Quran is bijahala. Now, most people translate this as they do something bad in ignorance. But I also think that this word jahala could mean they do it out of being impulsive, meaning without forethought. They didn't intentionally do this bad thing. They didn't intentionally want to be a bad person. They did it impulsively. So we're supposed to remind them of this, that the one who does something impulsively and then repents afterwards and tries to fix things, then فَأَنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Then your Lord is forgiving and merciful. And so I think taking this approach to Muslims who are struggling to navigate through their ADHD would at least help them to minimize the guilt and shame, and then make it easier for them to deal with the other issues that they're having. And remember this beautiful hadith, مَنْ نَفَّسَ عَنْ مُؤْمِنٍ كُرْبَةً مِنْ كُرْبِ الدُّنْيَا نَفَّسَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ كُرْبَةً مِنْ كُرْبِ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Which means whoever relieves a difficulty from the difficulties of this world from a believer, Allah will relieve and remove one of the difficulties from him on the Day of Judgment. And actually, in the Arabic of this hadith, the word that we're translating as relieve or remove is nafasa. And the word nafasa literally means to help them breathe, to help them have nafas or breath. So it's like this difficulty is strangling them. It's not allowing them to breathe. And the Prophet is telling us, when we can open up that pathway for a believer to breathe in the difficulties of this world, Allah will allow us to breathe on the Day of Judgment. So just try to remember, before you give that advice, try to see the human being first. Get to know and understand the person and understand their situation. As the saying goes, الحكم على الشيء فرع عن تصوره. which means judging something comes after understanding it. Words matter, and you don't know how much you can increase a person's suffering by choosing the wrong words and the wrong approach for them in their life. And allow them the space to be a Muslim in a different way that you're Muslim. As Allah tells us, وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَجَعَلَكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَكِنْ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِي مَا آتَاكُمْ. If Allah had willed, He would have made you all one nation, but rather He wanted to test you in what He gave you. So Allah did not will for us all to be the same, and trying to make everyone fit in the same box oftentimes increases the suffering of people who just can't do that. So allow them space to be different. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.